Turn to your other neighbor and says, you look so good when you're fighting for justice.
You look good, neighbor.
We're not happy that we have to be here, but we thank God that we can be here, and there's so many with us today, standing in solidarity.
That's right.
We have an amazing group of speakers and singers that are going to come before you shortly. We do want to make sure everyone knows. Turn to your other neighbor and say, we're going to be nonviolent.
Nonviolent, y'all.
We're going to be sweet.
We're going to be sweet.
We're going to help you.
We're going to help each other.
So that's when we're going to meet someone new and get involved in some new campaigns, because we can't be sitting on the couch anymore. And we're going to come out. We're here. And the only state in the nation that still doesn't have a budget. A General Assembly that is wants you to pay more in taxes than Walmart and Amazon.
No more.
Literally going to make them pay 0% in taxes by the end of the decade. And while our property taxes are going up because they are cutting taxes for millionaires. So we're going to say, no billionaires, no kings, no war. All right? No billionaires.
No billionaires.
No kings.
No kings.
No war.
No war.
Second thing, we're going to have some singers shortly, if they would make their way to the back. And if you are a speaker, please come to the back of the stage. And that's not you. If you don't know a speaker, you're not. But we do invite, we have some exciting justice singers coming shortly to get us in the right spirit. And then we also going to have Bishop William Barber speaking with us today. And we want to give it up for all the organizations. We'll be listing them, and if we leave them out, charge our head, not our heart. But certainly 5051 North Carolina. Wake County Indivisible. And of course, the North Carolina Poor People's Campaign. And I'll keep on saying them as we go. We do invite folks to donate. We've already raised, and we're going to announce how much we raised for a food drive for money and cans. You'll see there's boxes to donate. You can also find a QR code up here. We also invite you to donate to the North Carolina Poor People's Campaign, which paid for stage and sound, all volunteer group. We'd love to be able to do it again. So we're going to do this together. They got the money, we got the people. All right, let's give it up for the
Singing Resistance! From Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Raleigh. Welcome.
Good morning. You may have seen some of the videos of singers from Minneapolis. They are called Singing Resistance, and they are encouraging people to start these pods of singers all over the place. So we have started one at UUFR. And we'll have some information on Instagram soon if you would like to get plugged into one of these groups. There are also ones in Durham and Greensboro that I know of, but there are probably more. So we are going to learn by echoing. I sing, then you echo me. I send my hope.
I send my hope.
I send my prayer.
I send my prayer.
I send my strength to those resisting everywhere.
Send my strength to those resisting everywhere.
May you stand tall.
May you stand tall.
May you stay true.
May you stay true.
May you walk forward toward the work you're called to do.
May you walk forward toward the work you're called to do.
Good, let's put it all together. We'll sing it several times. I send my hope.
I send my hope.
I send my prayer.
I send my prayer.
I send my strength to those resisting everywhere. May you stand tall.
May you stand tall.
May you stay true.
May you stay true.
May you walk forward toward the work you're called to do. Everybody, I send my hope.
I send my hope.
I send my prayer.
I send my prayer.
I send my strength
forward toward the work you're called to do.
This next one was inspired by James Baldwin, inspired Nikita Gill, who inspired the person who wrote this song. It's called "We Belong to Each Other." We belong. Oh, sorry. Everyone, oh everyone, oh everyone of these people are ours. Let's sing that together. Everyone, oh everyone, oh everyone of these people are ours. Next phrase is just like we are theirs. Let's try it. Just like we are theirs. Here's the next one. We belong to them, and they belong to us.
We belong to them, and they belong to us.
All together.
Everyone, oh everyone, oh everyone of these people are ours,
Just like we are theirs. We belong to them, and they belong to us. Everyone, oh everyone, oh everyone of these people are ours. Just like we are theirs. We belong to them, and they belong to us. One more time. Everyone, oh everyone, oh everyone of these people are ours. Just like we are theirs. We belong to them, and they belong to us. Thank you.
Blessed as a state to have a leader like Reverend Dr. William J. Barber II, who has been a voice of courage in our state and across the country and the world. And his voice is needed all the more now than ever. As we begin to hear from him, and then we're going to hear from some advocates and impacted folks about why we're here today and why we need to continue to march, continue to demand, and ultimately that we need to vote. Say, come November, we will remember. Come November, we will remember. And we're also going to be talking about actions that you can take right after this. The next one, or one of the next ones, is going to be May Day. Say May Day.
May Day.
What time, Christina?
11 o'clock, right
11
here.
o'clock. All right, everyone. Give it up for Bishop William J. Barber II. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. There were some people that said I wanted me to come to D.C., but I said I need to be home. Because North Carolina is going to show this nation how to change things. They asked me to take about 10 minutes, and I want to share with you, for 47 years, I've been battling a disease that doctors said could shut me down at any time. 30 years ago, it tried. And in that moment and every day since, I've had to focus not on what the disease, Rob said, but on what God says, what my faith says, and what my own convictions are about never giving up or bowing down. I had to answer a question while I was sick that Jesus raised to a man when things were bad and he was sick and the whole situation was bad. Do you want to be made whole? Do you want to be well? Our government is sick today. This nation is sick with greed and graft and authoritarianism and neo-fascism and racism and warmongering. And it's not just one person or one entity or one want to be king. There is a sick attitude about power and money that says the point of power is to take all you can take and hurt everybody you can hurt and do what you want to do to people you don't like and lie all you can. This is a social sickness that has produced a wannabe king, a would-be despot with a royal entourage. From the Congress to the Supreme Court, from the Pentagon to state assemblies, and the question for us today is, do we want to be made well? And if we want to be made well, we've got to remember to be truly great. The first thing we must do is commit to stop talking just about how bad things are and come together around a vision for what could be if we all stand up together. Somebody shout, now is the time. You cannot be a great nation unless you feed the hungry and care for the sick and welcome the immigrant and the stranger and do right by the least of these. This is how we get over the sickness. I'm tired as hell talking about how bad MAGA is. Let's talk about how good we are. And we must tell every politician, don't just say you're against Trump. What are you for? If you get elected, what will happen in the first 50 days of your majority? We must be a movement that makes leaders who say, give us a majority and we'll guarantee health care for everybody. Give us a majority and we'll stop their attacks on voting rights and secure those rights once and for all. Give us a majority and we'll fix a broken immigration system and make sure that all of our immigrants are welcome in a nation of immigrants. Give us a majority and we'll care for the poor and make sure every working person has a living wage so they can take care of their families and pay their light bills and love their loved ones. Give us a majority and we will put more money in education and housing and building up the infrastructure in our community than we put in war and missiles and an unnecessary, unjust war. That's what we want to hear from our politicians. And then finally and secondly, if we want to be made whole, Robin, we want to come out of this sickness, we've got to decide that we're going to fight to be well. And we're going to fight to be cured. We have to admit that part of the reason we have what we have in this nation is something that Ron Cougar and Michael Jordan showed us in the movie Sinners. I know I'm a preacher, but y'all watch Sinners because it's telling us a God-honest truth. In the middle of the movie, when the evil and the craziness was at the door, one of the actors said, they can't come in unless we invite them in. We've got to own that we've invited some of this sickness, but we can overcome it, and the light and sunshine of justice can rise again, but we invited them by not applying the medicine of voting. Can I teach for a few minutes? None of what we see happening was inevitable. It didn't and it doesn't have to be. The nation can be healed. The darkness of constant lies can be replaced with compelling truth. If we face it and choose faith and not fatalism, hope and not despair, and getting up and not staying down. The real headline of this past election wasn't about Trump's victory. It was about how the Federalist Society, a coalition of plutocrats and theocrats, all but completed its mission to repeal and replace the 20th century advances. We must decide right now, right here, never again. In the last election, 150 million people voted, but 91 million stayed home. Never again. The Congress that we have now was decided by 7,000 votes when 90 million people stayed home. Never again. 36% of all eligible voters stayed home. In 6 states, Trump won by less than 3%, where 7 million people stayed home. In 2020, Biden and Harris got 81 million votes. In 2024, 19 million people who voted for Biden and Harris stayed home and didn't vote for anybody and said it didn't matter. You're a damn lie. It does matter. Right here in North Carolina, 2 million people stayed home. Trump won by 185,000 votes, 1,800 votes per county, less than 10% of those that stayed home. My brothers and sisters, we've got the power, we've got the votes, but we gotta organize them. We gotta mobilize them. We gotta get them out. If America wants to come out of this sickness, we've got to apply the cure of voting. Every day, Rob, that I get up, I've got to fight and believe that if I fight, God will stand with me. Every day I've got to believe that 1 can chase 1,000 and 2 can put 10,000 to flight. North Carolina and America, hear me right now. We let this stuff in. We opened the door when too many people refused to apply the antidote of voting. But God has given us another chance. God has given us another election. And it's time for us to apply the cure and get this nation whole again. My wife is here, and I want her to tell you something. If we what?
If we vote our power,
a wannabe king will not be coronated. If we vote our power, the Congress will be changed.
if we vote our power,
MAGA's madness will go away and the health care will come in.
if we vote our power,
The mean-spirited Congress will have to stand down and living wages will come in.
if we vote our power,
The sickness of greed and meanness can be canceled out with love and justice and truth.
if we vote our power,
ICE will have a meltdown and we will have our communities back.
if we vote our power,
The germs of inequality and division will lose their effect and DEI will make our nation greater.
if we vote our power,
We can close the door to the ugliness of meanness.
if we vote our power,
In the 250th anniversary of the nation, we can have a rebirthing of America. If we vote our power, we can put a vision before this nation of what she can be. If we vote our power, we can stand together and pray together and preach together and vote together and organize together. And years from now, it will say in the history books that there was a people that in a time of sickness decided to get this nation up. They became the cure. They closed the door to the ugliness. They learned how to walk together in freedom and justice, and they recovered the dream of one nation under God, indivisible, 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 with liberty and justice for all. If we vote our power, 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 if we vote our power.
6 months ago, say it with me, 6 months ago.
6 months ago.
Almost 2 today. And forward together. It was just a few days after the last No Kings rally in October. Republican lawmakers at the North Carolina General Assembly, you know this story, provided the ultimate tribute to Donald Trump. Y'all remember? Yeah. A newly gerrymandered congressional map. It gets better. Over the course of just a few days, they destroyed the only truly competitive congressional district left in the great state of North Kakalaki, a district where voters of color could finally elect candidates of their choice. My home district. They did it to protect Republicans in Congress, and you don't have to take my word for it. Oh no, the then most powerful politician in North Carolina, Senator Phil Berger, said of his motivation to pass these maps was to use our dollars to draw new voting maps for Trump instead of passing a state budget for us. He said, and I quote, "We are doing everything we can to protect President Trump's agenda." I want to remind you what that agenda is. Y'all got time? Was Berger referring to Trump's agenda that since the last Kings rally, just since the last Kings rally, blew up our health care, terrorized, imprisoned, and murdered our neighbors, deployed more North Carolinians to this endless war, tanked our economy, our jobs, our basic ability to live, and prioritized above all else his beloved SAVE Act, which would make it harder for all of us to vote in an effort only to save himself. Friends, in return for doing everything that Donald Trump asked for on his agenda, Phil Berger received Trump's endorsement to save Berger's seat in the legislature. How is it going? What started as a sham, say it with me, turned into a damn shame. All of that. Do it. Loud enough so they can hear you. Now all of that happened between the period between the last No Kings rally in October and today. So we all know, friends, that No Kings can't end today, right? No Kings must mean saying yes to everything else. Are you ready? My name is Sailor Jones and I work for Common Cause North Carolina. We're a voting rights organization, but just saying yes to voting is not enough. Are y'all ready? Although there's plenty on your ballot to choose from this year, sheriffs who could protect us, not to capitulate to armed thugs, state judges who could restore our basic freedoms, hell, even Congress folks who can show some damn courage for once. But voting this fall is very much the appetizer to the full menu we need. Amen? Amen. It's that we're Southerners, and we don't bring finger food to a funeral for fascism. Amen? No Kings means saying yes to year-round civic engagement. And we're already there. Over 6,000 of you were with us when there were efforts to toss our votes last year. Y'all remember? Over 12,000 of you were with us pumping names and comments and disgust into the General Assembly when they tried to pass mid-decade gerrymanders. Over 15,000 of you wrote in when the State Board of Elections tried to put the SAVE Act in our state. And hopefully you'll help us reach 20,000 signatures today for a budget that doesn't have a poison pill of voter suppression. Amen? Amen. So No Kings means saying yes, loudly and proudly to shared next steps. So just say yes. So when I ask you, will you join us as we protect voters at the polls in all 100 counties? What do you say? Yes. When I ask you, will you work with us to fight for voting access in your county this spring? What are you going to say? Yes. When I ask you, will you help us deliver the message of today when those doors open in 3 weeks? What are you going to do? Hell yes. No Kings means saying yes to all the things. And I thank you, North Carolina. But one more thing. To our LGBTQ siblings, to our immigrant and non-citizen friends and neighbors, to Black, brown, and indigenous people here today and all across this state, to women, non-binary people, and trans women or women friends, I would like to say to all of you, God didn't make us to hate us. If we stand together now, we will win. Forward together.
Forward together. Give it up for Sailor. And Sailor's exactly right. This is the time that they want us to turn on each other and to leave people out and to stop talking about things that matter, like trans rights and the end to war and genocide. But this is exactly the time that we have to speak all the more louder. This month, we saw an election where we kicked out Democrats who have been siding with wrong, who have been voting against our immigrant siblings and family, who have been voting to undercut our budgets and our health care. And they need to know that we're going to do it again, Democrat or Republican. If you're not with us, we're coming for you. And Phil Berger, I guess God doesn't like mean or ugly. We're going to have a little fun with this. But now we have a powerful leader that is in our community here, Wake County, who's the president of the Wake County Association of Educators. Give it up for Christina Cole.
Is this thing on? It's on. Hello, Raleigh. I am Christina Cole, lifelong North Carolinian. Give me some sound. Here we go. Okay. A lifelong North Carolinian.
This one. Or do you want to try this?
This one? Yeah. Okay, hello, Raleigh. I'm Christina Cole, a lifelong North Carolinian and product of North Carolina public schools. Yes! If you're a product of public schools, let me hear you make some noise. If you're a public school parent, let me hear you make some noise. If you are a public school staff or worker, let me hear you holler. Yes! I am a high school special education teacher by trade and the proud president of Wake NCAE and the next president of NCAE, our state affiliate here in North Carolina. We are a member of the NEA, the National Education Association, the largest labor union in the country, and we in North Carolina are the fastest growing union affiliate in the United States. So I'm proud to be here with you today. But I am sad and disappointed and righteously angry to report that North Carolina is 50 out of 50 states in public school funding and educator pay. We fall behind all of our neighbors in the Southeast increase in per-student funding, and this General Assembly continues to siphon private school vouchers, billions of public dollars into private schools for the wealthy to send their kids to segregationist academies. Not to mention, this General Assembly has not passed a state budget, the only state in the country to not have a budget. Shame! Putting public schools and public services in a financial crisis. And our state has the lowest union density in the country because of anti-worker, anti-labor, Jim Crow era laws that prohibit collective bargaining and workers' rights. Shame. Meanwhile, billionaires and corporations benefit from corporate tax breaks. Corporate tax is going to zero by 2030 in our state. But there's good news, North Carolina. North Carolinians in Rockingham and Guilford, we've already said, dethroned the king of the Senate, Phil Berger. Yes, we did. This millennial says bye, 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 bye. Right? We will further reject any attempts at dictatorship here in North Carolina, and we will fight for a government that fights for the people, that fights for all of us. Working class people, public school lovers say no kings. No kings, no billionaires, no corporate tax breaks and vouchers for the wealthy here in North Carolina. No more. No more. NCAE calls on you to join our Kids Over Corporations campaign. We are demanding politicians here in Raleigh and all across this beautiful state to put kids first. Increase per pupil spending to the national average, cut corporate tax breaks, put a moratorium on private school vouchers. We need decision makers who are committed to fighting to reclaim our democracy from authoritarianism and fascism and oligarchy here in the U.S. and abroad. We need politicians who are going to fight for workers' rights to repeal the ban on collective bargaining. We, our kids, our students deserve free and safe communities, free from violence, from gun violence, from ICE and CPP in our schools, our communities, our workplaces, our airports. No kings! If no kings, then what? Then who? Y'all, it's us. We, the multiracial working class, the majority in this country, will defeat fascism. Together, we will build a movement of working class people ready to stand up and fight back. Say, stand up, fight back. Stand up, fight back. For me, for us, this movement starts in our public schools. Our public schools welcome every student, every family, regardless of race, of gender, of zip code, of immigration status, or disability. We are organizing workers all across the state, here in Wake County, and all of you are connected to a public school. So here's the call to action, family. We need every single one of you here today and everybody you know to join us here again on International Workers' Day, May 1st. We call on public school staff, parents, students, community members, faith organizations, come one, come all, on Jones Street to Halifax Mall on May 1st to say kids over corporations. Say kids over corporations.
My liberty can be taken away. We were simply trying to record the interaction we were given permission to record. After about 15 minutes of assaulting us and trying to prevent us from recording them, the agents gave us our ID back and said, we're free to go. These are the words of 3 of the 5 North Carolinians challenging illegal, warrantless arrests in our state. Willie Wender Acetuno, Yoshi Cuenca Villamar, Ruben Aguera Lopez, Edwin Godinez, and Yair Alexander Napoles. 5 Latino men, 5 community members. Each experienced unlawful arrest by heavily armed, masked, and reckless agents with no legal justification. Today, they are challenging those arrests through a class action lawsuit with the support of the ACLU of North Carolina, the Southern Coalition for Social Justice, and Democracy Forward. This case face exists because people in our state are being stopped and detained in violation of their rights and in violation of federal law. Not only are these warrantless arrests unlawful, they're violent, they're destructive to personal property, and they leave behind a kind of fear that lingers long after the encounters end. Shame. As students of history, this is a playbook that we know well. This is the legacy of slave catchers. Systems of recruitment built through explicit appeals to white supremacy. In the Jim Crow South, there were both visible and unspoken rules, the quiet, daily enforcement of who belonged and who did not. Those systems did not disappear. They've evolved. So when we see the Department of Homeland Security, Border Patrol, and ICE using imagery, phrases, and songs tied to that history in their recruitment, it is not new to us in the South. We have seen this before, and we know where this road leads. What we're watching unfold today is not a coincidence, my friends. It is a continuation. The legacies of slave catchers and modern so-called immigration enforcement are not separate histories. They are the same story of how dangerous power gets built, justified, and exercised against the most vulnerable among us. When the Department of Homeland Security was created, warnings came. Hello? Okay, that's really hard. I need to change mine. Okay. Warnings came from across the political spectrum about its size, its scope, and its lack of accountability. Those warnings went unheeded. Now, with agents recruited through racist appeals and deployed with increasing distance from any oversight, those warnings are no longer abstract. The threat is here. It is now. Federal agents should never patrol our streets. They should never be terrorizing our communities. They should never target people by race or ethnicity to advance a political agenda. And yet, that is exactly what is happening. But let me be clear, our rights are not partisan. They are not negotiable, and they will never be surrendered. We did not arrive at this moment without a fight, and we will not leave it without one either. Because we are rooted in a place that has always known how to resist. A place that has carried, even at its most difficult times, a legacy of resistance, joy, and hope. That legacy is alive right now, in this lawsuit, in every person who has stepped forward to protect a neighbor, in every community that has refused to be made invisible. People often ask us at the ACLU, what comes next? What comes next is continued action. The warrantless class action lawsuit will take time, and yes, there'll be many more lawsuits to file. At the ACLU of North Carolina, we are working in coalition with immigrants' rights organizations and partners across the state to push for accountability from ICE and Border Patrol, as well as our elected leaders. We've drafted a coalition letter signed by over 40 local leaders and organizations calling for oversight. We're supporting North Carolinians in submitting damages claims to the federal government to repair some of the harm that has been done. We've submitted public records requests, and when the government failed to respond, we took them to court. One of our records requests reveals ICE secret plans to expand detention in our state, including in Hertford County and Greensboro. In response, you know what happened? People showed up. You showed up. At city council meetings, in public comments, in organizing spaces. My purpose today, however, is not to list all the things that the ACLU of North Carolina is doing, because the reality is change will require all of us. Every North Carolinian has a role to play in pushing back against the reckless and dangerous federal overreach we are witnessing. North Carolinians are fed up with the disruption to their daily lives on the way to work, taking their kids to school, attending places of worship. That frustration is turning into action, from brave plaintiffs in a warrantless arrest lawsuit, to residents speaking out against detention expansion, to folks organizing their neighbors. One way you can join that effort today is stopping by our table over there and signing our ICE Out petition calling for an end to ICE's expansion in North Carolina. We need sustained pressure from all angles, legal, political, and community-driven, to ensure that constitutional rights are protected in North Carolina. Because when the government ignores the law, it does not just harm immigrants, it harms entire communities. So, as we leave this space today, I trust we will remember that we're not fighting in spite of hope, but we fight because of it. As our own Paulie Murray said, hope is a song in a weary throat. When Mr. Acetuno says, I want to be involved in this case because I don't want this to happen to anyone else. I want to help protect my Latino family, friends, and neighbors. That is hope. When Mr. Cuenca says, I think it is important to take action through this case so the government starts doing their jobs correctly instead of stopping people solely because of us they look a certain way. That is hope. So what does it mean to organize against the harms we are seeing from our federal government, from our state government, all while working towards something better? It means building community care. It means refusing to accept harm in silence. It means understanding that dignity is not conditional, that all life is dignified, that all people, every single one, deserve to live without fear. We demand accountability. We will build a multiracial and democratic future together, and we will not stop until we do. We will not stop until we do. We will not stop until we do. Because that unified song of hope carried through our weary southern throats across generations that were told to be quiet and refused, it is what has always moved us forward. It moved us before, it is moving us now, and it will change the tide of this movement.
We know we have to keep each other safe. We have to keep ICE and CBP out of our communities. And when they found themselves here in North Carolina, we know Siembra, North Carolina, stepped up and stepped in for our immigrant communities. So I'm really excited and honored to introduce Hector from Siembra NC.
Hi everyone, my name is Hector Rivera Suarez and I'm an organizer with Siembra NC. It is an honor to be here today, see all of you out here fighting for our communities, not just for the immigrant communities, but for everyone, because right now we are all under attack. Last year, the members of Siembra NC set a goal to make this the safest state for immigrants in the South. And the reality is, for immigrants and honestly, for most of us who aren't independently wealthy, it's getting harder and harder just to get by. That's why we also set another goal to make North Carolina the best state to work and raise a family. And to do that, we launched Make NC Work. Some of you might have heard about our 4th Amendment in the Workplace campaign, and the city stepping up to protect their workers by passing resolutions. That's what it looks like when we're organizing. And when we talk about safety, it's not just what's happening at a federal level. Over 75% of detentions in North Carolina are happening behind closed doors because of state laws that force collaborations with ICE. People are getting separated from their families over things as small as a traffic stop. That's not safety. That's a system that's working exactly how it was designed to. Meanwhile, in Virginia, they ended the 287G agreements with the stroke of a pen. So we know change is possible. And when it comes to work and raising a family, while politicians in DC are pouring billions into detentions and enforcement, the politicians here in Raleigh are giving billions in tax breaks to the wealthy. And we're the ones paying for it. Higher costs, harder choices, and more pressure on our families. And at the same time, workers across our state are having their wages stolen every single day, and nothing happens. We've worked with hundreds of people who put in the hours, who have trusted their employees, and they've done everything right. And they still got cheated out of thousands of dollars. And when they try to do something about it, they're told to wait, to file a paperwork, and to hire an attorney, which is really difficult to do when you're already owed $12,000. So right now, we're organizing to change that. Because if someone steals thousands of dollars from a worker, that's not a mistake, that's theft. That is part of a business model because North Carolina is the worst state for workers. And right now we're working with district attorneys because they have the power to do something about it right now. Enough should be enough. And that's why we're also launching our Enough Should Be Enough listening tour. Because we're not here just to show up and be angry. We're here to organize. We're building teams to talk to 50,000 people across North Carolina, especially those who've been ignored for too long. We're having real conversations about what people are dealing with and what they actually want to change. And we're turning that into a people's agenda. Because when the federal government fails us, we don't just sit back, we organize locally. That means organizing here with our city councils, with our county commissioners, and even our district attorneys. The people who have the power right now to protect workers and hold employers accountable. We're building enough pressure so that by next year, every candidate running for office has to answer to us, not to corporations, not to billionaires, but to organized people. If you're ready to be a part of that, you can go to our website at tiny.cc/enough28. tiny.cc/enough28. And you can get connected to a team near you. We're doing this statewide. And we're not waiting for someone to come save us. We're building the kind of power that actually forces change. So, if you're ready to stop reacting and start organizing, join us. Let's build the North Carolina we deserve. Not for politicians, not for corporations, not for the billionaires, but for us, the working people of North Carolina. Thank you so much, everyone, and I look forward to make NC work for all of us.
No hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here. No hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here. No hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here. That's right. Y'all can keep it going. All right, thank you so much, Hector and Siembra. I am here to introduce Joey Gray from Money Out of Politics. Joey.
So as I look out over this crowd, the thing that strikes me is the diversity, the fact that this is a microcosm of this country. And from the bottom of my heart, welcome and thank you all for being here. As was mentioned, my name is Joey Gray. Some of you may know me as Mayhem. I retired in December after 21 years in service as a Special Forces warrant officer with several hundred direct action missions and 14 deployments. But I say that for one reason, And it's because I've seen the cost of war. And when you see it up close, you understand something clearly. These decisions cannot be rushed, they cannot be made casually, and they should never be made without listening to the people who have actually lived the consequences. Credibility is not claimed, it is earned by getting decisions like this correct. And we've been here before. In 2001, when this country was grieving and angry, when it would have been easy to go along with everything that followed, one member of Congress, one black woman named Barbara Lee from Oakland, California, was the one no vote against 420 members of Congress. That vote was against the blank check that became the global war on terror. That authorization has since been invoked 41 times in countries, against groups, and for missions that had nothing to do with September 11th. Shame indeed. She warned us precisely what would happen. Endless war, mission creep, and generations sent to fight without a clear objective. And she was right, and she stood alone. And that is what courage looks like. That is what leadership looks like. So I need you to come somewhere with me. I want you to stand on a parade field, in formation, surrounded by people who have risked their lives for each other and who would do it again without hesitation. A formation of men and women standing in silence, trying to hold it together for their fallen brother, their fallen sister. No one speaking, no one moving. Just that heavy, that quiet, that suffocating quiet that only exists when someone has been taken who is never coming home. And never more suffocating for the mother standing in front of that formation. She's holding a framed picture of her 22-year-old son. Both arms wrapped around it, like if she holds it tight enough, he might come home. Her name was Maria. His name was Stephen Gancheski. Everybody called him Ski. He was the team leader. He was hard, he was funny, he was the kind of guy you respected the second you met him, where you wanted to or not. When I first got there, I kept my distance. I didn't want to get lit up. You vets out there know what I'm talking about. But on November 16, 2007, Ski gave his life in service to this country. And I watched Maria stand there trying to hold it together until she couldn't. And she collapsed right there on that parade field holding that picture. Sobbing in a way so raw, it leaves you with no doubt. This was not worth what it took. That's what war looks like. Not policy, not press conferences, that. And there's something else I've never been able to shake. Ski had a daughter. She was about the same age as my daughter when he passed. Just shy of 2 years old. Not yet able to form permanent memories about her father. And I remember realizing that I had the opportunity to get to know Ski better than his daughter ever would. And I remember looking at my own daughter and thinking, that could be her. I deployed more than 10 more times after that. Every time we get this wrong, we don't just lose service members, we create children who grow up without a parent. Shame indeed. No explanation fixes that. And in my time in the 75th Ranger Regiment, we buried 49 Rangers across our 3 battalions. So when I talk about war, I'm not speaking in hypotheticals. I'm speaking about the consequences. And that's why getting this right matters. Iran was no imminent threat. And if there's no imminent threat, then it's not defense, is it? It's a choice. And understand this, words from leadership do not exist in a vacuum. On March 23rd, we watched the market swing trillions of dollars in under an hour because the President of the United States makes false statements about peace talks that were immediately contradicted. And in that same week, that same president celebrated the death of a man who spent his life serving this country. Y'all tell me what you call that. I call it treason. When you hold that kind of power, you don't get to lie and then shrug it off. Because we, the people, pay for it. And we're feeling it, aren't we, North Carolina? We're feeling it at the pump. We're feeling it in our power bills, in the cost of living climbing, while we're being told everything is just fine. That is not leadership, that is recklessness. If words alone can do that to markets, imagine what happens when those same kinds of decisions, that same kind of character, if you even call it that, I wouldn't, are applied to war. That's not abstract, that's real consequence. And I'm not saying that from the outside. I came up in that world. I trained in it, I operated in it, and I stood shoulder to shoulder with people who went on to lead in it. And one of those men, a Green Beret, someone who spent his career in counterterrorism, who was part of the cadre helping me prepare for the combat diver qualification course, one of the most demanding schools in the United States military, that man walked away rather than support this. And you've seen the letter. His words were clear. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation. This isn't about politics. It's a judgment grounded in experience, evidence, and the cost of getting it wrong. And the people who have lived this are arriving at the same conclusion. This is a pattern. When someone in power tears down anyone who disagrees with them, especially the people who have actually served, we must pay attention. We've seen it. He said he was glad Robert Mueller was dead. He dismissed a highly trained counterterrorism professional as weak on security. And I want you to think about that. People have spent their lives carrying the burden this country written off the moment they refuse to fall in line. That's not strength, and that's not leadership. It is insecurity. And insecurity has no business around decisions about war. And I'll also say this. I wasn't always standing here. I've supported leaders I don't stand with today. Not because I didn't care, but because I did. And over time, I was able to see more. The difference between strength and noise, between leadership and performance, between decisions that protect people and decisions that put them at risk. And when you see that clearly, you don't get to say that you didn't. You don't get to pretend that you didn't. And I'm not here to play a side. I'm just here to tell you the truth. While the world is focused on missiles and escalation, something else is happening. You'll hear it described as executions. But I'm not going to use that word because there is a difference between execution and murder. Execution implies justice when you're talking about a state. What we are seeing in Iran is murder. So we're going to say their names. Naveed Afkari, a wrestling champion, a son, a brother, murdered by the Iranian regime. Majidreza Ranavard, 23 years old, murdered publicly to send a message. Mohsen Shakari, 23 years old, a young man who joined a protest and was murdered by the Iranian state. And Salah Mahmadi, 19 years old, champion wrestler, hanged publicly in Qom just last week. That was while bombs were already falling. Because while the world watches missiles, those names disappear in the noise. And that is not justice, that's a regime using violence, murder, to maintain control. But the Iranian regime is not the Iranian people. Sound familiar? There are people right now risking everything just to speak freely. And for that, they pay with everything. So don't confuse the regime with the citizenry. And there is something incumbent upon me also to say plainly. While people in other countries are risking their lives to stand up for their own human rights, and the United States is dropping bombs while they fight for those rights, the very same rights we claim to stand for, we should all be sitting with that. Because the truth is, those are people standing up for the same principles we say define us. Freedom, dignity, and the right to speak without fear. And they're doing it knowing what it costs. They've been shot in the eyes for protesting, beaten, imprisoned, raped, tortured, and murdered by the regime for daring to speak out. I have a challenge for everybody here and to the American people. Would we be so bold? Because whether we want to admit it or not, the way those civilians, knowing the risk, knowing the cost, still stand up against that regime, that is as American as it gets. So the real question is, if we were put in that position here in the United States of America, would we stand the same way? The truth is, the jury's still out. The jury's still out on whether we as Americans would stand up to oppression the way we are watching the citizens of Iran do right now. We must be strong, we must be clear, but we also must be disciplined enough only to use force when it is truly necessary. Because once that line is crossed, you do not send troops, you send people. And some of those people do not get to come home. Sua sponte, Deo pressa libera. Thank you.
Give it up for our brother Joey. If you want to stand up, like Joey just told us to, against the war in Iran on Monday at 12 o'clock, we'll be at the federal building at 12 o'clock. 310? 310 New Bern Avenue, just right over here at 12 o'clock for a Moral Monday, a Love Forward Moral Monday with Repairs at the Breach and others. We know that we're coming from many different backgrounds here, and I just want us all to turn to each other and say, we are more alike. All right, try that one more time. Turn to your neighbor and say, we are more alike than we are unalike. We don't need uniformity. We need unity in our diversity. And now we're going to hear a little bit about what we're going to do. We know that there's, right now, you can't do a lot by yourself. Is that right? You can do some things. But I heard somewhere the bad news is that the movement is done in committee. And so you need to join an organization if you can. Join one of these amazing groups that are doing this work to build this movement, and come back on May 1st at 11 o'clock here, 5 o'clock in Durham for our May Day. But now we're going to hear from Ariel, who has done a lot of work with 5051, along with Don and so many others. Give it up for Ariel.
Let's hear it for our speakers, first and foremost. My name is Ariel Carlin, and I'm a state organizer for 5051 North Carolina. And first I want to thank all of the generous donors who either donated food here on site or donated online. We have raised, I believe, about $2,500 monetarily, not including the food that everyone brought. So thank you for that. If you haven't donated yet, you can still continue to donate online. There's QR codes over in the tabling area, so you can do that. Also, the North Carolina Poor People's Campaign has always been a big supporter of ours, and they funded the stage and sound for today, making sure that our voices could be heard. So please don't consider donating to their fund. There's a QR code right up here too. On behalf of myself, 5051 North Carolina, Triangle Resistance Coalition, and other organizations in attendance, we want to thank all of you for coming out and making this day the amazing day that it has been. However, protesting alone is not enough. We must do more to create lasting change. We are calling on all North Carolinians to register to vote in November. If you are registered, double check your registration before you go to vote. Voter ID is a requirement in North Carolina, and if you need one, free voter ID cards are available from the NC Board of Elections website. Something that everyone can do is call your representatives. They need to hear your voice, and the easiest way to do it is to download the 5 Calls app. If you don't know who your representatives are, before you leave today, please ask someone and we will help you. We all need to know who represents us, because they represent us. Another important thing is to shop local and to shop small. When you shop at a big chain or a corporation, your money is not being reinvested into your community. It's going into bank accounts overseas. We need to support people who want to invest in us and our communities. Okay, raise your hand if you're in a union. Raise your hand if you're organizing your workplace. Raise your hand if you've signed a strike card for the general strike.
That's not enough, y'all.
If you didn't raise your hand, we're calling on you to sign a strike card with the general strike of the Carolinas, and I do believe they have a table over here today. We're also calling on you to unionize your workplace with Socialist Alternative, who also have a table over there. There is an ICE Watch Verifier training today. Visit defendandrecruit.org for more information on trainings through Siembra. And also, Fourth Amendment Workplace is another really important training. Before you leave, please connect with a group. Even if you just want to sign up for their newsletter, it's important that we stand together and stay connected in these times. We have a bunch of organizations set up over there. They're passing out information, goodies. We have No Kings merch, No Kings buttons. So yeah, thank you all for coming out. Do y'all want to do a few chants real quick? Yeah. Come on. Okay. When I say no, you say kings. No. Kings. No. Kings. When I say no, you say kings. No. Kings. No. Kings. When I say no, you say war. No. War. No. War. When I say no, you say war. No. War. No. War. When I say forward, you say together. Forward. Together. Forward. Together. Forward. Together. Forward. Together. Thank y'all for coming. Please head over here and visit these tables.
And if we're a movement that can't dance, then I'm getting out of it. So we're gonna hear some music in just a minute. If we can hear, got to give people what they want. So dance your way over there. Thank you for being here.